Welcome back to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to report. But Valve has discovered the one thing gamers hate more than microtransactions, paying hundreds of dollars more for the exact same thing they wanted 6 months ago.
Yeah, especially when it doesn't get any better. There's no new perks. It just costs more. And in this case, it's Valve's Steam Deck. It seems like that price hike is costing it a lot more than just customers right now. Where's this coming from, Brian?
So yeah, this comes from a new report from the game site Boiling Steam, which says sales of Valve's handheld gaming PC, the Steam Deck, have dropped by roughly 82% since they raised prices earlier this year. So that is insane.
Yeah, that's a lot. The report estimates weekly Steam Deck sales have fallen from around 11,000 to 18,000 units before the increase to just 1,400 to 3,000 units afterward.
It also claims that weekly gross revenue has dropped by about 72%, from roughly $6 million to $10 million, down to between $1.2 million and $2.5 million.
Yeah, Boiling Steam bases those estimates on the Steam top sellers chart. So this isn't not an exact science, but they got some metrics they're going by, comparing the Steam Deck's ranking before and after the price hike.
Yeah, that's right. Steam has all those different sellers on their top sellers every single day. I check it. I look at it every single day, and it changes between games and the Steam controller and the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine, and then obviously like Dota and Counter-Strike and things like that. So yeah, with all that in mind, when you're looking at it, the handheld reportedly slipped from around the number 4 or 5 spot to somewhere between 10th and 15th for the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I wonder if the Steam Machine has offset some of those sales. Maybe people just have a Valve doohickey budget, and the Steam Machine has taken it all up, provided they got their lucky emails. Still waiting on mine. But why did this happen? I'm not sure that it's I'm not sure there's a huge mystery there, but we'll go into it anyway.
So yeah, as we all know, in May, due to component shortages, RAM prices, all that horrible stuff, Valve jacked up the price of the deck between $240 and $300, depending on the model. So it was a massive price hike.
Yeah, so here it is. The Steam Deck OLED 512 gig went from $550, pretty reasonable, to $790. And the 1 terabyte version jumped from $650, very reasonable, to $950. That's a massive increase.
I don't want to get used to 4 digits for gaming hardware, but it makes me feel so bad. It makes my skin crawl. Valve said at the time, quote, Steam Deck itself hasn't changed. These new prices reflect the current state of component costs and other global logistical challenges across the industry as a whole.
Yeah, so while Valve obviously is making more money on each individual Steam Deck it sells, the report suggests it is selling far, far fewer of them overall.
Yeah, Boiling Steam described the decline as, quote, a near total collapse in physical demand. Though it's worth noting these figures are estimates rather than official sales numbers from Valve, but Valve is pretty transparent. Again, they have that top sellers list. You can look at it every day.
And if these estimates are in fact accurate, it suggests the higher price tag has significantly reduced demand for the Steam Deck, even as Valve earns more per unit sold, potentially. We're not quite sure what their profit margin is, but it would be shocking if $300 got totally gobbled up by component costs. But we live in shocking times.
And even some Steam Deck owners say that the new price is not justified. This is from Windows Central managing editor Richard Devine. He wrote, I love my Steam Deck and I will defend it to the hilt, but at this point in time, nobody should be buying one anyway. And then possibly remembering that he works for Windows Central, he added, and no, this isn't some thin attempt at selling the virtues of a Windows 11 handheld gaming PC instead.
No, he's totally right. The Steam Deck is underpowered. And at whatever, $500, $600, it was worth it. It really was. It's not anymore. Not even anywhere close.
I mean, I plug this a lot, but for $500 or $600, the ROG Xbox Ally is still there, and I am shocked that it hasn't gone up in price. So even if you compare the hardware, the Xbox Ally beat out the Steam Deck in nearly every way. So, hey, I understand not liking Windows. I especially understand not liking Xbox right now, but it's a PC, just like the Steam Deck is. So you could buy that and put SteamOS on it, and you're already in a better spot than you would have been if you wanted to go the Steam Deck route. So please take a look at that if you're looking to buy new PC hardware in general or looking for a handheld PC. But yeah, unsurprisingly, raising prices by like what, 40% or even, about that. it leads to a total collapse. I think the Steam Deck was always in the category of I'm curious about it and I have some disposable money and I want a toy to play with. But price raises of this nature push those sort of discretionary purchases out of the realm of just being like a fun weekend thing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with handheld gaming, when I think of handheld gaming, I think of more affordable gaming. Like going back to the DS, they were a little bit cheaper than, GameCube games. And I think also right now with the Switch 2, and I know it's not a handheld PC, but it is a pretty good handheld. And with it sitting right there at less, even after the price hike, I just think there's no way people are going to pay that much unless you really specifically want a Steam Deck. But this, to me, this goes against what handheld gaming historically has stood for, and that is to game a little bit cheaper than, on the PC or on a console. So yeah, this is not a surprise at all. I'm sure it's going to get worse. I think, like Lawrence said, I think this went from kind of a curiosity to like very, very niche.
I was reading the responses in the Reddit thread to this news story of the fact that the Steam Deck sales went down 82%. I expected a lot of people to be like, duh, of course, you raise the price, the sales go down. Instead, I saw a lot of Valve bootlickers in those Reddit threads being like, well, they can't, it's not their fault. The RAM went up. But I didn't see any of that for when PlayStation raised the price or when Xbox raised the price or when Nintendo raised the price. So it's very interesting to see the way people respond to Valve being like, well, hold on now, they're beholden to the free market. No, they could actually sell this at a loss. They could. It's true. This is something that I love. I love the economy. I love talking about macro economy, microeconomy, all that stuff. So it's really interesting to see people be like, no, the free market says that if there is demand and people will pay it, then we should raise the price to what they will pay. This isn't exactly a free market. It's not the perfect free market, just so everybody's aware. There are regulations involved, things like that. Valve could sell this at a loss. If they wanted to, they could. They're just not going to. And I just keep the same energy for Sony and Xbox and every other corporation that's raising the price on you right now. Make sure you're like, well, there's nothing they could do about it.
And that conjures a scary image in my mind. In the past, I think Valve had made the argument that they couldn't or wouldn't subsidize Steam hardware because there's no guarantee that it will lead to more spending on Steam. If you buy a PlayStation, you've got no choice, especially if you get a PlayStation 6. They're going to funnel you right into the store, and then PlayStation gets a cut of all that money for the next decade or however long you have a PS6. Yeah, you get a Steam machine, you can put Windows on it. You could just use the Epic Store if you're insane. So in a way, I get that. But Bruce, Devil's question here, this is a full theoretical. Would you like subsidized hardware from Valve if they locked it to using Steam only somehow?
Well, I'm gonna go to your first argument. That's a bad faith argument, Lawrence. Most people are gonna spend money on Steam. We all know it. They know it too. There's no way they're selling Steam Decks to Steam machines and only people are installing the Epic Games Store. Nobody's doing that. Everyone's buying on Steam. It's a bad faith argument from Valve that they're like, well, hold on now. You could do whatever you want with it. It's a PC. No, dude. Revenue goes up on Steam when you sell a Steam machine or a Steam Deck. Like, what do they think we are? Fucking stupid? Like, yeah, of course you could put whatever you want. It's a PC. But, I mean, Lawrence can mod the hell out of his Nintendo Switch. And, I mean, it's still a Nintendo Switch. It's still got its one way. Whatever. It's, again, I understand what they're saying, but it's not true. And revenue does go up on Steam when they sell a Steam Deck or a Steam machine.
Also, let's keep in mind, Steam generated, we just talked about this, over $11 billion in gross revenue for the first half of this year. Valve is not, cutting corners. They're not getting rid of catered lunches on Monday. They have plenty. If they really wanted to kind of get behind this, I feel like they could. For whatever reason, they are passing all of those increases down to the customer. It just is what it is. You can love Valve and be clear-eyed about what this is. But yeah, Valve and Nintendo have some of the most loyal people who will all the way down. It could be $2,000 and there'll be people in the comments being like, what are you going to do? Free market.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it that way because I think that really does sum it all up. Is I guess this stems from a bit of a frustration that I've had where I see other parties like the Epic Game Store, or in this case, like Microsoft with the ROG Xbox Ally, try to price competitively, and the consumers don't care. They keep buying the thing they want no matter how pricey it gets. They just complain along the way. So in these circumstances, yeah, I try to shout out the companies that are clearly trying to get your business. Now, of course, we know there's ulterior motives there. They want your business so they can exploit you, but you're a customer, you're savvy. Just enjoy the perks while they're there, if they're there. And it's pretty clear, I think, like Bruce was saying, Valve understands they don't have to compete for your business in terms of price, at least with this hardware.
Yeah, no company is stupid. There is no company out there being like Nintendo yesterday talking about the tariffs. They're like, we couldn't possibly calculate how much the tariff. Fuck off. They know. That's all bullshit.
Down to the penny they know. Down to the penny they know.
Valve knows. They know how much money is being spent on Steam Decks and Steam machines versus just having Steam on a PC. Or any other company that pretends to not know. They all know.
Well, we've made an awful fine show of not knowing things here at Inside Games, so thank you for watching our coverage. We love talking about, video games. We love talking about the industry. We love talking about the intersection of the two, where the rubber meets the road. That's always fun. And hey, at least we haven't had to raise prices here. Those tariffs are kicking around, but we're keeping the show free just for you. And despite all that, some people still support us through Patreon directly, so we really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Apharo Dedaro, Fade Into Gaming, and Revelanche Glide for keeping our little handhelds all charged up. Appreciate that.